Hey everybody, welcome to the second part of What is Ecology? In this section we're going to be following up what we learned about in the first video, and in this section we're going to answer our second key concept. We're going to be talking about ecological methods. Now, ecologists use a wide range of tools and techniques to study the living world. When we talk about tools, we talk about equipment, we talk about vehicles, you name it, ecologists probably use it. No matter what tools they're using though, scientists do ecological research based on three approaches: observing, experimenting, and modeling. Now, ecologists aren't a whole lot different. This is pretty much the same thing that every scientist does. All three of these, observing, experimenting, and modeling, apply the scientific method, which is why we've studied this in 7th grade, in 6th grade, in 5th grade, and why you'll continue to study it as you go on in your scientific classes. Now, observing is the first step in most ecological questions. You observe something and you ask some sort of a question, which is where the scientific method starts. Some questions might be very simple and others might be really complex. These things form the first step in coming up with your experiment or your model. Experimenting can be used to test a hypothesis, which you guys have done in the past. You've observed something, you come up with a question, you now have to test your hypotheses. An ecologist might set up an artificial environment in the lab, which would imitate the environment, or which they can use to manipulate conditions that an organism might encounter in the natural world. It's not real easy to manipulate the actual environment, but in a smaller controlled area you can manipulate it. Other experiments might be conducted with natural ecosystems out there in the field. Take away a particular food source, or change this path and see what happens. Modeling is used to gain insight into really complex phenomena. Now, an ecological model tends to include very complicated mathematical formulas. You've gone and observed and collected data, and now you tweak the mathematics to see what potentially could happen. And using a model, you're going to make predictions about what other things might happen, or how can you further make observations and conduct experiments. Now, those three methods, observing, experimenting, and modeling, answer our second key concept: what methods are used to study ecology. Now, that does it for part 1 of chapter 3. At this point, you should be able to define all of those key terms, and you should be able at this point to answer those two key concepts. Good luck with this, and study hard.